Hello, and thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I go by Luneinnate, and what I'm creating for you today is the zodiac season theme video that I create each zodiac season, this one being for Sagittarius season. Sagittarius season runs from December 23rd through December 21st. However, of course, there's always a little discrepancies. I've seen places that say it begins on December 22nd. You know, we're rounding it out here, like we're doing our best. But from my understanding, it begins on the 23rd of November and continues till December 21st. The full moon, which will be in Gemini, is going to be on November 30th, and the new moon, which will be in the sign of Sagittarius, is going to be on December 14th. If you like to write those down and work with them, or perhaps you already have a calendar that tells you the time of the new moon and full moon and things like that, that's always very handy. But if you're looking to work with the full moon and you're looking for some guidance, because of course you have your own way of working with things, right? We all do our own thing. It's nice to have guidelines. It's nice to work off of something, but by any means, like, do what feels right to you. But what I plan on doing for the full moon in general, or the intentions more or less that I plan to work with, revolve around my social life, revolve around balancing my boundaries with my social life. I've kind of come in, a little personal information here, but over this year, I've really tried to show up a lot, but I've also really needed time to myself, and I've ended up putting up a lot more boundaries than I had before. That's served me very well at this point, but I do want to reevaluate that. I want to invite, even if it's beyond my comprehension, beyond my waking mind, conscious awareness, I want to invite the relationships into my life, the friendships, the collaborations into my life that are, just overall in alignment, and be okay with letting go, or the dissolution, or the the page turning on potentially some, I don't want to say letting go of people, that's not what I mean, but being able to just clear some space, prioritize. Personally, again, I've been holding such boundaries that I do feel like it's going to be more of an invitation than a letting go. But there's certain things, of course, that we all need to, or that we're all served rather, to let go of as we're taking things in. Another example that we could work with the Gemini full moon would be the release of imposed or influence that we've kind of taken on from relationships that we've had in the past. Gemini is the mirror, is the twin. We learn about ourselves through the experiences with other people. And sometimes, it's all for a reason, right? I'm not trying to judge it necessarily, but there are times when, someone says something nasty to us, or we see in that reflection something of toxicity. We've all been in relationships, I'm sure, romantic or just friendships or whatever, family even, where we don't really bring out the best in one another. So there might be some healing involved with that. There might be some potential to let go of the vision that was once held as reflected in another's eyes, not to suppress it, not to push it into the shadow, so to speak, but more so to heal, to reclaim, or to work with in any way something that might resonate with you personally in that aspect, or in that perspective rather, of something you've experienced in your life, an engagement, a relationship, an experience with another that made you feel in any way disempowered about yourself, or painted yourself, or carried yourself in any way. We can heal those, we can release those, we can reclaim, or whatever it might be for you as an individual, and then bring in the invitation of, what's next for us. Another example as well would be simply to compartmentalize, to be like, okay, like I've had those experiences with others. I've learned so much. All right, I want to retain that. I want to allow that. Yes, I want to compartmentalize that. And I mean that in a positive way. And now let me invite what is new, or rather what is most serving, or what is next on the page of my personal book of life, or in my path. Of course, with all of this work, I really do suggest being heart-led, listening to your heart, not going out and seeking things just because, you feel like something, how do I say this? only going out and seeking because the heart is guiding you to, not doing it because you want to force it in any way. I hope that I'm making sense there. There's an organic approach, right? And then there's the forcing things to happen approach. And it's usually always best, right, to take the organic, authentic, stabilizing, foundational, step-by-step kind of approach when we're working through any of these really kind of personal development themes in our life, right? In terms of the new moon in Sagittarius on December 14th, themes that might be work well, right? And of course, do your own thing, right? But Sagittarius is a theme of personal truth, of how do I say this best? Of journey, of finding your truth through the journey. Some of you might plant seeds for manifesting trips. And I know, we're in COVID, we're in lockdown or whatever, this is not the time for travel necessarily, but you might plant seeds for manifesting trips, or you might actually do more of a shamanic approach to journey or a meditative approach to journey work. You might want to do some dream work. You might find yourself, it has a little bit of a hermit vibe, doesn't it, Sagittarius, where it's not about what's outside, it's about what's within. Although it is more, I guess we could say, or we could look at it as we're learning our truth through the witnessing of experiences, but not because people are giving us the message. We're deducing, we're discerning, we're experiencing, and we're bringing that in, or rather, probably a better way to say it, we're witnessing then what we experience within, and thereby finding our own personal truth. A nice example actually I could give to this is my Reiki training and stuff like that. I have a fabulous Reiki teacher. I absolutely love her. She's totally wonderful and one of the best teachers. Like I'm so lucky that she was my teacher. But it wasn't her lessons and it wasn't the book necessarily that really grounded that knowledge into me. It was the practice, it was the experience, it was showing up, it was learning, it was adapting, it was discovering more and layering that into my practice, which has given me I don't mean to be egoic here, but it's given me a very unique practice, I would say. Who's to say we're all unique in our practice, absolutely, but it's given me and helped me to create my unique practice. So there's so many ways that you can work with that in terms of personal truth and discovery. Again, it's not really a great time for travel but who's to say, like, we might be able to go camping, or we might be able to do some things that are a little bit more safe and aligned, right, to like the present times, or just manifesting that trip in 2022. Like, we've all seen how fast time goes, right? Like planning a trip for 2022 isn't so terrible, right? Just things like that in general will be really good to plant seeds for. If there's anything within yourself that you've had doubt surrounding, if there's anything in yourself that you feel you are seeking, it's a great way, setting intentions and planting seeds on the new moon specifically to find and connect more authentically, even if it's this elemental, to more authentically connect with your personal truth can be just a simple and beautiful intention to work with. We've touched on this a little bit, but I just want to go over some of the qualities that we can all expect to be experiencing, or the vibe rather, right, of Sagittarius season. First, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Saggies. Happy birthday, Saggies, right? Like, you are truly some very unique individuals. All the Saggies I know are something. My mother was a Sag. I have friends who are Sages. I have people that I just follow who are Sages, and they have such a really pure energy to them in some capacity. It's quite difficult to like articulate, but there's just a pureness, there's an openness, there's a willingness to learn, there's a willingness for conversation, there's a willingness to show up. And I don't mean that as in for all Sagittarius people, because we have all other things influencing our charts, and you might find yourself to be quite an introvert, right, or something like that. But they have the energy of Sag has a very creative, catalytic, optimistic, I want to say, even at times at least, a very reality based though, like very much based in reality, yet still holding hope for optimism, justice, equality. Not so much like Libra, but still like there is a certainly a righteousness to Sagittarius energy. It's of course associated with wands, right? Fire, which is why I wear my cool earring. Well, that's why I chose these earrings today, because they remind me of little awesome wands. These are by Idolite, in case you're curious, because I've been like really loving their stuff, and whenever I have a little extra, I've been buying some. I've been growing my collection there. But sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Wands, fire, creative, creation, projects, creativity, ideas, but more so the action of ideas, like not just the mental bling, like light bulb, the idea that manifests through action, or the clarity that comes, or the manifestations that arise when we put action into something. I don't think that Sagittarius energy in any way is stagnant, it's fiery, but it's also in a way, from my perspective only, and I'm not an astrologer, I see it as earthy as well, because it is represented by the centaur. Sometimes it's associated as well with with Chiron as well. If you know anything about Chiron and that mythology, I'm not an expert, but Chiron was one of the most intellectual or ascended, if we could say, of the centaurs in those mythological stories, and was a teacher, was very patient. He was also depicted as a centaur, but with human front legs instead of an entire horse or beast or whatever, like lower half, which I think symbolized a bit more of the intellectual connection with Chiron in general. It's also sometimes known, or is known from my understanding, as the wounded warrior. So I would encourage you, of course, to not only look at your personal natal chart during this season to discover what planets, if any, you have in Sagittarius. I have Uranus and I believe Neptune in Sagittarius, for example, and you can, or if you don't have any planets in Sag, you can look at what house in your chart Sag falls into, and perhaps gain some knowledge, some perspective, some of your own personal truth, perhaps through that discovery. I would also encourage you to look at where Chiron falls in your personal natal chart. I have Chiron in Taurus in my midheaven. So, if you're curious. And these things are quite fascinating. I certainly resonate with both of these. I haven't quite discovered what Neptune in Sagittarius relates to yet, but my recommendation, if you're going through this stuff, I recommend their channel all the time, but Astro Finesse, the Jiggy Hippie, has lots of amazing series that really cut to the meat of the situation, we could say, to give you information on, what your moon in this means, or I'm sorry, the air conditioner is out this door and it is turning on and off, so I do apologize. It's actually quite warm here today in Florida, even though it's, November, late November at this point. So I do apologize for that. I'll turn that off when we move into the more ASMR portion. But yeah, finding that out, Astro Finesse is a great resource. However, there's plenty of finding that out and then going to YouTube. So let's say finding out you have Uranus and Sagittarius, typing that in will give you lots of different astrologers who can maybe put words to and explain, inspire what that might mean for you. And I would encourage you to check out a few of them, because again, this is a season of collecting and experiencing, but also discerning what resonates most with you and what is your own personal truth. I also want to encourage you to be okay with the fact that our truth changes. Our truth changes when we gain more clarity, more perspective, when we've grown up. Like my truth when I was in my early teens or like young was that like 50 was super old, and here I am, I'm gonna be 40 in a couple of years, and I'm like, you know what, like 50 ain't looking too bad, like it's gonna be fine actually. So your truth and your understanding and your reality, your perspective changes inevitably, so I would encourage you to be a little flexible with that, considering what your personal truths are, and like all of that stuff in general. And again, like, where are you waving your wand? Like, where are you clearing the path? How are you walking the walk? How are you collecting these experiences, not bringing them into yourself, but then the reflection of these experiences within yourself, how they make you feel. Again, what is your personal truth? And then how are you walking that walk now that you have this new knowledge, or now that you have this understanding, or with that understanding? And that's why I do consider personally, again, Sagittarius to be of the more grounded fire signs, right? And of course the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sag. And it's just that grounding of that beautiful enlightened information, you know, like how cool. All right, so we're going to shift over now to do a little tarot reading. A little pick a card is the way I'm going to do it, as I did it last season. I hope that resonates with you. I just want to share the tarot card decks I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using Angela Mary Magic's Moon Baby Magic Tarot. I love it, and it does have Sagittarius energy for me. How, like, really, when I picked it up, I was like, oh yeah, duh. And I'm also going to be using these cards that Autumn Mystic gave me. She is another ASMR YouTuber, and she lives in Florida, and we hang out. Well, pre-COVID, we hung out a few times, and I'm just really called to use these cards. They are rune cards. I honestly think I've only used them once before, knowing that I would reconnect with them, but at the same time, like, I just haven't been using them. So I'm going to use a little of these rune cards because they just spoke to me as I was over there, you know, choosing, and I'm like, hey, let me just listen to my instinct here. I will say I do not know the names of the runes. I'm not going to be able to tell you what rune it is. I can show you the image, and I'm going to be interpreting these strictly from the images. All right, so this is more of an intuitive reading. I don't want to present myself as some rune master over here, but I am very called to use them. Okay, so I'm just going to switch everything around, and I will see you in just a sec. All right, so here's where we're going to be doing our reading today, and I just want you to be able to choose a stone. So this is a rainforest jasper for pile 1, and I chose this because my friend gave it to me when I went on a trip to Costa Rica the first time, so travel and stuff like that comes up. Pile 2 is a what is this called? It's a agate from the Great Lake agate, something like that, and it has a cute little face on it, like a little Nectar or whatever the guy's name is, like little cutie face. So agate for pile 2. This I always forget the name of. I would call it a banded carnelian, but I know that's not what it is. It's more of, it begins with an S, like sardox or something like that, but it's truly gorgeous with all these really beautiful patterns and markings on the stone. I hope you can see. I'm so sorry, it's hard for me to see if you can see. And that was pile 3. And then for pile 4, I chose this star ruby heart. It has a gorgeous flash on it. Really dense and heavy. It's a very heavy stone. Like, I want to say it's heavier than even this big one here. How funny is that? But yes, star ruby here. Okay, so we're going to choose pile 1. The rainforest jasper. So we have, I'm not going to read the runes in reverse because I don't even know them that well. The first is this image of an ox in this green auric kind of energy, and it's a really beautiful green. I hope you can see the color. Pardon me. But this makes me think of strength, of stability, of journey, of grazing, as in seeking greener pastures in a sense. So perhaps you feel called to have this, perhaps you have some kind of animalistic instinct almost to tell you to carry on, or to tell you to settle down and, you know, kind of shack up for the winter or something like that. Regardless, it does feel very, very stable, very solid, and defensive, as in a safe place, a security of some kind, as in your home or your financials right now in general. Or if you don't feel that way, perhaps this is something that's coming for you. All right, and then we have this one. And again, I'm very sorry I don't know the names, but this is almost reminds me of, it's like a Viking or individual with a shield on a white horse, and it's quite spiritual. It's almost like the horse is riding through the sky like a comet of some kind. So maybe there's something auspicious coming for you to support, or that makes you feel support from the other side. This could be an ancestor. This could be just some kind of experience that you have. Again, it could be in a journeying experience in general. It feels like, I don't want to say union, but maybe perhaps even some kind of reunion or feeling of reunion. This could be a grandparent or a ancestor of some kind in your life that you're feeling very connected to at this time. And they don't have to be. It could be just like wisdom in general, or someone rather who you find wise as a teacher or mentor, someone who you'd like to receive something passed down from. And here they are, right, on their like white horse, riding through the cosmos. Or maybe you'll start setting intentions for yourself to have dreams or experiences like this. Pardon me, I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, so we've got some stability and perhaps a connection to an ancestor, relative, teacher, something along the lines of that you're going to call on or you feel connected to this season. All right, then we have the King of Wands, King of Lasers, King of Swords, wow, King of Measure, or Measure in general. And I'm not going to read the Angela Mary cards in reverse either because I'm still getting used to them and I don't see the point in stressing myself out. We have the 10 of Swords, 10 of Blades, Disillusion, and the Ace of Blades. How cool. Crystal Vision. All right, so these are some really interesting cards here. The King of Lasers is, so again, this is for the season, right? So this is about this time frame, this November 22nd, 23rd through November 21st. That's what we're looking at here. I should have clarified that. But there's this opportunity here for you to really step into your creative, your truly, truly creative potential to build something, to share something, to innovate something. You know, it's of the more masculine nature being king, so it's much more of an outward force and something that's happening within you. You feel it's time, look at the picture, to shine your light, to share your information, to share your passions, or to share something that you have an idea or something you've been creating. We also have the King of Swords here, so this is about taking action on an idea that you have, of truly receiving an idea, something perhaps you've already been experiencing, or something that comes in more, like it's revealed, or it's something you experienced during this time. But again, this king, this masculine energy of putting it into some kind of outward action. So you might find yourself sharing, communicating, writing, posting, even creating stories or videos, right? It doesn't have to be just writing, but you will find yourself with this call to share, again, to put out this idea. And measure here is quite interesting to, add to the intuitive readings here, right? The message. There's this really cool image. It looks like a tree stump perhaps, but it could be like some kind of mountain that's like a flat top mountain or something that I'm not quite sure of. But I feel like it's a tree ring is what I'm picking up, or I'm thinking of the rings of the tree, to measure your growth, to measure time specifically. So I believe that this is indicating that not only will you have something to share, some way to shine your light, feel called to shine your light and put things out there, but also to remember to be actively taking stock of information, of reflecting on how far you've come as you're looking to build, as these ideas come to you and you're looking to create. Take the time to be okay with the rings on the tree, the years of time that pass, because I don't want to inhibit us, right? Things can happen overnight, truly. Like, of course, people can pop off. It's great. But most of the time, a methodical approach and taking divine timing, being okay with the fact that, it might not be this year. It might be next year. Or I want to do this year and it will set me up this way for next year. So this is really just it's not necessarily about pace, but more so the comprehension, the understanding that you're setting things up for years to come, perhaps even for the generations, that come after you. Perhaps these ideas that you have are innovative of something that's happened in your past, or that's already excuse me, let me rephrase that. Something that has already happened, and you're innovating it and setting it up as well for the years to come. It's not a rush, right? It's the long game. We're looking at the long game here. All right, and then we have the 10 of Blades, which is said here as disillusion. We have a pomegranate, these swords, right? And the 10 of Swords is definitely a card of, it's typically sometimes mental anguish or mental stress, right? But with the word disillusion, there's something that really needs to be brought back into reality, to touch base, to not overwhelm yourself with all of the complications of the goals that you have necessarily, not to become, not to allow things to not motivate you or kind of suck the motivation that you have out of you, right? So this is a time that if you do feel these mental overloads, these how do I say this kind of wind out of your sails, like mentally taking the wind out of your sails in a way, it's something that you just need to watch for. And you know what, I'm really picking up a lot from this pomegranate here. So the red, the vitality, the representation sometimes of blood. Get your blood moving. Whenever you feel this month, whenever you feel that creeping in, that anxiety, that overwhelm, acknowledge it, of course, validate. Yes, you must validate what you're feeling, but move your body, sweat. However that is for you. I know a lot of us perhaps have bought like exercise equipment this year because we've all been kind of cooped up. Do what you can to sweat. Do what you can to purify your blood with fruits, green leafy vegetables, things like that. Focus on your health. Focus on your physical well-being and the physical purging of toxicity to support your mental plane. And then we have the Ace of Blades, crystal vision, Ace, of course, of Swords here, a gift, a out of nowhere offering, a beginning of a vision, clarity, design, intelligence, perfection, the blueprint. You're going to be receiving a beautiful idea. And this is all kind of tied together. This isn't a linear reading, I guess we could say. You're going to be getting something of such clarity, such a gift over all of this season of your vision, So this is an encouragement to focus on your vision. So I do want to tie in the moons here because we know we have a full moon and we have a new moon this season. This is such a great time to really visualize any ideas that you do. If let's say you already do have these ideas, to spend time in visualization, in meditation, to see this, to see it working out, to see how easy it came together, to see how it projects and has longevity and it carries over years and years and years. And for your new moon experience, perhaps something along the lines of, again, that reflection, planting seeds, again, for the years to come, planting seeds of your manifestation. And it's not just this like flash in a pan experience. It has longevity. It carries. It's foundational. It is built upon. All right. So I hope that this supported you. Thank you so much for tuning in, right? All right. So for pile number 2, you chose the Great Lake agate here, the little buddy. And I want to say as well, I'm not going to be reading cards in reverse. I just don't feel like it, and I'm going to trust my instinct, as well as this is more, it's not necessarily a linear reading here. This can be essentially for things that we can expect to experience perhaps within this season or within the next month, even if you're watching this at another time, within a time frame, within 4 weeks, let's say. Okay, so the first card that we have here, and again, I do apologize, I don't know the names. We have this sacred space, this space of ritual, of reflection. There's an individual here with this kind of mystic, earth-based energy, wise person, medicine person, shaman, witch, something along the lines of that. So you might feel very called to be inspired by those who have come before you that have walked this path. And it's not to say so that you can copy the path, but the path is there, and then you can choose to go off and come back on, or step a little sideways and come back in. So I feel like some of you perhaps are seeking just information, guidance, some type of illumination to the process, the practices that you are embarking on or that you are taking in this season. So again, we do want to make sure that that's wonderful. If that is your instinct, if that's what you feel drawn to, by all means, go for that. I would just encourage you, of course, to remember it's all about you, your truth. It's great to have these experiences where we, can share and see like what other people go through or whatever like that. But this is so much more about you. So it's not a replication. It's not a devotion to some type of teacher necessarily, but more so a sharing of information, a sharing of perspective, a sharing of illuminated thoughts. So that could be from a book that you pick up, that could be from some YouTube channels, of course, perhaps, or other avenues where you might find that information. And there is obviously something quite ancient here, and it does feel like dawn, right? Like we have the sun coming out. So there might be some type of, I don't want to say, forgive me, I don't mean to say like dark night of the soul necessarily, but you might have experienced a really challenging Scorpio season, and now dawn is kind of coming in with this fire, with this Sagittarius energy to kind of like shine again the light, right? And help us kind of release some of what, if there was anything heavy about Scorpio season that you experienced, to kind of like, and you might find a guide, you might find comfort or inspiration, or someone might get your mind kind of working in your own benefit through this, through this ability here, through this connection. Again, book, a song, it could be anything. And then we have this card here, which looks it's very harvesty. It is harvest time. It is time for drinking. That doesn't have to be booze. I don't mean to say that for those of you who aren't, into booze and stuff. But, drinking, overindulging, really having, it's very seasonal here. If you can see, fall is coming. It is time to harvest. So there's something in, it's time, like whatever the experience perhaps was through Scorpio season that you're doing this work, you're harvesting, you're benefiting, you're in an abundant state. It could be materially abundant. It could be that you have more time now. It could be that you're ready to rest now, in a sense of like let loose. If you're open to it, have a few drinks or do your thing. But you're going to just feel this gratitude, of course, right? And this just abundance, like this harvest time. You're going to want to share it. You're going to want to, the picture's so funny. Share it, like share the laugh, share the experience, share the gratitude, encourage others, and just really indulge. Like there's an indulgent, it's an encouragement to like let yourself have it, like let yourself indulge a little bit, right? All right, I'm just going to scoot these over here. Okay, and then we have, these are not linear. Oops. Ooh, very cool. I need to grab another card though. You know what? I'm going to leave this in. Okay, so this is a little odd. I didn't realize that this card was even in the deck. There is another one that corresponds to colors. So this is not a tarot card, but I am going to keep it in because there's something that's speaking to me here. So let's see how this plays out. I'm so sorry, but hey, we got this. All right, so our first card is the Queen of Blades and Lucidity. So Queen, feminine, internal, receptive, blades, ideas, communication, intellect. You're going to be receiving pieces of information. You're going to be receiving things that inspire you. You're going to be receiving messages from your lucid dream experience, perhaps. Regardless, you're going to be receiving information or ideas or inspiration or anything in a lucid state, in a state where you are aware of the experience. This isn't a subconscious thing happening in places we can't exactly see, which, those things go on all the time. You're going to have an experience, or you perhaps already are, of being very aware and perhaps seeking information to receive, or just in a state of pure receptivity, pure mental and even technological, of course, but mental receptivity and awareness. How funny. I hope I don't look like a ding dong here, but we got this card that I didn't know was in the deck, and it's all of this beautiful new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter moon, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent moon. So there's something here of the moon cycle for you. There's something here that you can utilize this system, which, this is pretty straightforward, but using the system of the moon, of the lunar cycle. So at the time you're watching this video, check in with the moon. My favorite app is Time Passages, so you could download Time Passages if you have iPhone, or I think you can download it online too, or on the computer. I'm sorry, Bomba's barking, but this isn't ASMR yet, so I'm not gonna freak out. I'm not gonna let it get to me. I'll just read these to you. So new moon intention. New moon initiation, waxing crescent, protect and nurture. First quarter moon divination, waxing gibbous, calibrate. Full moon, celebrate reality. Ooh, I love that. Waning gibbous moon, release expectations. Last quarter moon, banishing. And waning crescent moon, I hope I said that right, waning gibbous, waning crescent, manifest. So perhaps there's something, perhaps you already work with the moon cycles, but there's very much something about this card magically coming out that's guiding you to really work through with the moon cycle. Whatever it is you're manifesting, whatever it is you're taking from these ideas or compartmentalizing these ideas, it would be really beneficial to work in correspondence with the moon cycle. This is not about forcing it. If Angela's guidance here doesn't resonate and you're like, hey, okay, celebrate reality. Actually, I want to do this on the full moon. That's okay. It's just about bringing awareness to it. It's not necessarily about following someone else's precise guides necessarily, but tune into the moon cycle. For those of you who get moon time, perhaps there's something here significant in correspondence with your fertility cycle. For those of you who do not get moon time, perhaps this is more literal in terms of the moon cycle itself, checking in with yourself, checking in about how you feel. I would also encourage to look into as well where the moon is, as in what sign is it in? Is this playing sorry, Bomba. Is this playing out in some way for you? Is this does that help you understand why you're feeling a certain way? So the moon cycles for me, I use them very, very often, almost every day, particularly when I'm not feeling great. If I'm like, hey, why am I stressed out, or why am I not motivated, or why do I have a short fuse? I can usually go and see where the moon is, and I'm like, oh yeah, the moon is in Aries. Yeah, that's why I have a little bit of a short fuse, but I'm also very motivated and ready to work. So I would use that. If you're planning something, if you're planning a project, work with the moon and where it will be on certain days in terms of the zodiac signs, and correspond. If the moon is in Taurus or Cancer, you might feel more lulled. You might not feel like you have that energy. So plan those days as days of rest or days of reflection so that you can really pace out your month. Okay, sorry, I wanted to make space. So then we have the Knight of Waves. So the Knight of Water, the Knight of Cups, Deep Lover. Oh my gosh, right? We have this gorgeous cloud and horsey thing. It's more of a cave drawing kind of thing, it looks like, or something of that nature with rainbows and stuff like that. So as Angela Mary would say, nights are babes. There might be someone in your life right now or coming into your life to reawaken your connection to your love life, to your passion, to your intimate connection. And I mean that in primarily for most of you, the physical aspect, if we can say that, or like, when you think of lover, like truly reignite something within you. This might not be someone you fall in love with. This might not be someone you even freaking talk to, but you can have someone kind of pop up in your life, whether it's a freaking like character on TV or like character in a story even. It doesn't have to be a real person. But it's I don't want to say archetype, but it's the character that comes in to help you remember, like, you do have passion, you do have desires, you do have fantasies, you do want or crave perhaps that connection. So for those of you who were taking a break from that connection or haven't been able to feel that and perhaps are feeling more questioning, like how you feel, you're going to have an experience where some type of babe enters your life, whether, they're in reality or not. And it will help you to make more sense of how you feel about that connection because, again, our truths are always changing. Personally, I've gone through periods of feeling quite asexual for like years and going into, being very connected to my sexuality again and stuff like that. It's in flux, right? It's not always very heart-centered or a hard line for every person. So as we're in a transition perhaps, or as you're having these connections of clarity or opportunities of like information clarity, things like that, there's something that you're going to experience that helps you to make more sense of your personal truth and how you connect on intimate levels. And that might not be about sex. It might be actually like, I can connect and fall in love and don't feel connected to sex, and that's okay too, right? It doesn't matter. We're all very unique, right? We all have this spectrum going on, don't we? And then we have the Two of Caves, the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Earth, diversity. And this is a beautiful, almost looks like blue tourmaline or blue kyanite with records and music. How appropriate. Don't mean to blow up Angela's spot. She's the creator here. But she has quite a lot of records in her house. Excuse me, just banged the tripod there with my foot. So this is an opportunity for making a change, for choosing perhaps a new path, choosing a new style, choosing a new, what do we call it? Oh my gosh, the word is escaping me. A new soundtrack to your life. Do you want to be Radiohead? Like, I love Radiohead. I can't listen to too much Radiohead. Or do you want your soundtrack to be Beyonce? Do you want it to be Meg Thee Stallion? Like, what do you want as your soundtrack? Choose that, and I'd really encourage you. I love that there's music here, to choose what is in the background, what is the landscape, what is the vibe, what is the path, what's on the path, what of that you can control do you want to kind of support you in this and tune your path, tune your choices. And of course, you can listen to Radiohead and Meg Thee Stallion, like you don't have to make a choice here, but just to become aware of, what am I choosing? What am I surrounding myself with? Did I just paint my room? Is my room or my home a color, painted a color, the colors on the walls? Is this the color that brings me anxiety? Should I redo this? Can I repaint this? Is there something I can do in my space, in my how I dress or anything, how I style myself, in the foods that I eat as well, of course, right? Literally everything that's physical, tangible. What elements are here, and what can I do to affect most beneficially my own well-being, my own stability, my own comfort on this journey, on this path, as this clarity is now here, right? This feels as well perhaps as expression, coming out, representing your sexuality perhaps more, like claiming perhaps no label, claiming a label. All right, well, I hope that this resonated with you, and I thank you for your patience as I have this not great setup right now, but I'm working on it. I swear. I got a table, I just haven't put it together because I've just been so busy. I'm sorry. Next time it'll be there. So sardonyx, I believe, number 3, you guys chose the sardonyx, the banded sardonyx. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not even sure. And got our cards. This is not a linear reading. You know what? Let me do these first. This is not a linear reading. This is more of the vibe for the season. All right. So here we have an individual with their little drink here, with their hydration, taking some time and playing the harp here. The harp always reminds me, well, harp string instruments always remind me of the vocal cords. So there may be some need for pulling back, for reflecting on your communication, not necessarily to tune it down, not necessarily to increase it, but just to reflect on your communication, how you interpret communication, how your communication is affecting others, and how it could potentially be interpreted by them. I don't mean to, we can't control how people interpret us, truly, but the tone of your voice really does a lot, doesn't it? Or the wording, the approach that we use. Even if we have a problem with someone, if we go and say like, oh, you did this wrong or whatever, like sometimes that's really not the best way. It gets people shut down, right? So perhaps some of you are looking to soften or just tweak, shine a little light on your approach to communication. I don't mean necessarily for manipulation, but when are we not manipulating something? Like we're trying to approach things in a way that we get the result that we want, and that's okay. So I don't mean this in a negative, manipulative way. I mean it in a positive way where you're manipulating your energy, you're manipulating, controlling, discerning how you communicate so that you can be most effectively heard in your truth as much as possible. Okay, there's a message that you feel you want to share, it seems like. How cool. Okay, this one, super bizarre. I honestly have never seen any of these cards before. So this card, we have this kind of like, I don't know, this individual in a crystal with this beam of light coming down. Is this in the past? Is this in the future? Is this in another dimension? Is this in the dream state? Is this in the astral realm? It feels like the astral realm now that I've said that out loud, with these crystals, but also this snow, this coldness kind of around. This looks like downloads. This looks like perhaps guides or support. Someone in the astral realm, or just the energy of your guides, your benevolent guides. May I clarify? Your benevolent support. Oh my gosh. Freaking Florida man. Florida man. Connecting and inviting your spirit helpers, if you will, to support you as you're receiving these activations this month, or this season, should I say. There are downloads coming through. There are things that you want to allow to be received, allow to make sense, allow to activate within you. So if you're in a journeying, if you feel called to journeying, I would encourage those intentions to be included. Again, if you're working with guides or spirit in general, clarify benevolent, clarify of the highest intentions of support and honoring those who honor my free will, those who are here to support in the most comfortable and good, can we just say good ways for my benefit, for the benefit of humanity, we could even add. But when we just invite spirit in general, there's good and bad spirit. You know what I mean? Like when we say those things, there's good and bad in the astral. There's good and bad in the dream world, we could say, right? There's spooky and there's joyful, or whatever terms we want to use. So very, very important. Clarify who you're allowing into this sacred space as you have dream experiences, as you meditate, as you sit and allow and set intentions to receive activations, downloads, the light, the knowledge from the astral, the spirit realm in general, the subtle realms. All right. So again, it doesn't matter how we place these because they're not linear, and I'm not reading in reverse. These are new decks to me, and I don't like to read in reverse until I'm very comfortable with a deck. Okay, so we have Page of Blades or Page of Swords and Fascination. You're going to have as well a message be brought to you, but this isn't necessarily a message from within. This is a message from the external. This is something you're going to witness. And as the word fascination comes, it will really pique something. You will recognize it because it's something you've always held an interest in, or always sparked something in you, or you always leaned in towards, or had a fascination for it in general. The hourglass here and the bat wings to me symbolize just divine timing in general, I guess we could say. The reason you didn't get this before, the reason you couldn't find this before, even though it is a topic that you're very interested in, is because it wasn't the right time. So you can just trust that as this message reaches you now, it is the right time. Whether that means to take action of some kind, which it might be, or whether it means to just indulge in more, like study more, which I guess is action as well, isn't it? But there is going to be something stirred from the outside, or that you pick up from the outside, that triggers something within you, like, oh my God, yeah, I always love that. An example, I was always very into spirituality as a child growing up. I had, my aunt and grandmother are like witchy types, we could say. And it was kind of around in a way. Like it was stuff that I was just really interested in, and I had family that supported it very, very well. But I lost track of it. I was very much, became in my high school years, I was dating. It was more about my social life. It was more about this kind of stuff. So it wasn't until I had my son that I was not working anymore for a year. And, very fortunate myself there, I know. And I was like, oh, wait, I love crystals. I love meditating. I love energy. And all this stuff started pouring back to me. So it seems like something like that. And how the Reiki poured back to me, because it was something I wanted to do, but I couldn't find a teacher. I had gone to a reader who was like, oh, you do Reiki, right? And I was like, no, but I really want to. I've been thinking about it. I've always held a fascination for it. Well, it's time, like, go do it. And that's when I found my teacher immediately, and so on. So this is auspicious, this is an auspicious time for you. We then have the Queen of Lasers, the Queen of Wands, and magnetism. This is you drawing in the things that you need for this creative potential, for the creation of yourself within you, to nurture these qualities, this thing, this idea, this concept, this field in general. You're gonna be pulling like a magnet the people, the conversations, the books, the information, the algorithm. It's all going to work for you. You're going to be a magnet to these conversations, or to this information, or the synchronicities are really going to pop off. Like, because you're now again aligned with what once you were very interested in, it's going to come back so strong. And I can really resonate with that. We then have the Fool, the wild, the beginning, the excitement of starting something new, because even though this fascination was held always, or this resonance with whatever this is that comes back to you, it's still a new time. You're still a different person now, and it's going to be fresh. It's going to be your own, perhaps more, or something that you can just sink your teeth into with like no resistance, like sinking your teeth into Jello or something, and it's just like you can gulp it down. Ew, that sounds gross, but I hope you know what I'm trying to say. There's, sometimes with the Fool, there's a warning of don't get too close to the edge, but I do feel with this divine timing, it's not so much about that. It's more so just the enjoyment of the process, and the carefree and the lighthearted kind of way that it all falls together for you. So it's not about falling over the edge. It's about things falling together. How cool. All right, and then we have the Page of Cades, fruition. So this is the Page of Pentacles. And here we have as well another gift from the outside coming in to support your manifestations. This could be, I don't want to say it's a gift like it's material necessarily, although the Page of the pentacles do indicate some material component, but it could be an invitation. It might not be, here, I'm going to pay your way. It could be an invitation. You know what I mean? So I don't mean to say that you shouldn't be hopeful for some physical gift. Hey, like, that's cool. I love that. But regardless of if it's physical or it's more like an invite or an opportunity, perhaps, regardless, it's going to feel so very aligned, and it's leading to the fruition of the concept or the idea or the reawakening of something within you that brings it in a way where it is fruitful, it is perhaps lucrative, it is perhaps something that you now see is so much a part of your calling that this becomes your career or your profession or something. And here, right, we're getting these activations, and the tweaking of your communication is very important through all of this, I see. I don't mean to say you communicate poorly. I just mean, there are times where we need to understand how we communicate, how that is received, and, be a little more mindful, a little deliberate in the way that we communicate. All right, I hope that this resonated with you. I hope you enjoyed. I don't feel like this is a great spot for all that stuff, but all right, pile 4, the star ruby here. So this is not a linear reading. This is for just the season in general, and I'm not going to be reading in reverse because I don't know all of these cards very well yet, and I like to read in reverse only when I've kind of connected to the cards. All right, so I do apologize. I don't know the names of the runes here. I'm interpreting solely from the images as I stated. But here we have this chariot kind of energy. These two rams, these two Aries forces charging in. So I feel like this is a lot about the fire within you and the motivation and the determination and the showing up. And how funny this corresponding card here is forging the sword, forging the wand, forging something as you're bringing this in, or as you're going in with it. So you feel called to move, you feel called to create, you feel called to show up, you feel called to really bring in a fiery, catalytic, explosive, almost rocket-like energy into something in your life right now. I can't dictate what that is for you, but maybe we'll pull some up. Maybe something will be revealed. And then we have this forging, right? This practice, this skill, this vocation of forging. Some of you might truly feel called to like glass blowing or like building, tinkering, soldering, creating stained glass artwork, or something along the lines, right? Something where you're literally heating, like you have a hot gun. This resonates for me as well. So yeah, like there's this creative energy here in both. There's this very fiery energy here in both, about like going in and doing it and bringing your tools and bringing this new skill and bringing it in, like carrying it in. I love that. Very cool. All right, so then all right, so we do have the Devil, Capricorn energy, control, right? So the Devil can be signified as stagnation. It can be signified as just like not being able to move, and you're not about that. You're bringing it in. You're bringing the heat. So perhaps this is reflective of something you want to break through, like break the lock of, what I'm picking up more so here, I think, is the determination of the Capricorn. The I will stop at nothing till I reach the top of that mountain energy of the Capricorn. Or this is a Capricorn card, is why I'm saying that. And it's funny too, this is more of like a goat, right? But we have the ram, and there's two here, right? So it's got a little leg up, right? It's got a little leg up to bust through. So I would say this speaks more of determination, of ascending, of claiming your space, claiming your, I'm so sorry about my dog, because this is an ASMR, I'm not gonna bother with trying to get him to stop. I can't get him to stop. But for the ASMR part, I will be much more mindful and put him upstairs, upstairs. So essentially, this is bringing in a reminder to use discernment, use the control that you have. Don't go in too loose. Go in with a plan. Yes, use your force. Yes, set your sights. Yes, go, go, go. Bring the heat, but do it in a way where there are parameters, where there is like almost like bumpers on a bowling alley kind of thing, so that that momentum is contained within the parameters that you set. Okay, now we have the world, interdependence, and I love the world and the turning of the wheel and all this stuff, the dance of the cosmos, the dance of the seasons, the dance of rebirth, So that's what this is. This is telling us that like this is like a truly changing time for you in your life, truly something that you're going to have an experience or really see yourself in a different light, see yourself in a different season differently, with greater understanding, with a deeper connection, feeling more deeply connected to the things you find passionate, the things you are creating. And it's going to change your life. It's really, yes, again, we can life can change in a flash, but this is going to change your life. You're going to feel it, but it's going to be more evident, or it'll be more evident even a year from now when you reflect like, oh my gosh, like look how much my life changed because I committed, I went out, I did it, I set the parameters, and I trusted, and I allowed the change to happen. I allowed it. I wasn't scared. I didn't have ego holding me back. I did it. I changed my life. Very, very amazing and cool. Okay, so we have the Knight of Blades. Ooh, ooh. And this says explore kinks. We have a similar thing going on here than another reading, right? Or I guess maybe a little bit. So this babe is coming in. You're going to have something come into your life that inspires you to explore perhaps some of the kinky nature to you. We all have, not who's to say, right? I don't want to say, oh, we all have our kinks, right? Who knows? I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. But a lot of us do have our things, right? It might be quite, what we think of, like quite kinky. And I'd say Sag is a bit kinky, it's not Scorpio, but hey, it's got some stuff going on. It's got that power or whatever. But with the blades here, this to me is much more of an intellectual kink, a more exploration perhaps of how things affect you mentally, less than physically. You can tie in physically, who am I to say? But more so, how do the way that you are talked to, the way that you are handled, the way that you handle others, the fantasies perhaps that you have, the things that you view, the things that you read, to really perhaps again in this theme of seeking our own truth and being okay with the fact that our truth does change, you might find yourself into some different stuff. But again, I would say that this is much more about exploring it from a intellectual, a mental, a sapiosexual perspective to get started. And maybe you do bring that in. So if there's something you've been asking here, the Two of Waves in union, there might be, if there's something you want to try with a partner, if there's something you want to try with yourself, if there's something you want to heal within yourself as well through a more sexual kind of exploration, this is a good time for that. If you're not with a partner and this is something you do want to explore with a partner, there's definitely places, and please use all the precaution in the world and trust your instinct and all of that. But there are places where people can have conversations and ask questions and stuff. There are forums, there's stuff like that. I mean, I can't recommend anything for you personally, but I know it exists. There are ways for you to explore these things, without rushing into anything, But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I can't go into this more because I don't want to make it lewd, and I don't want to isolate those who, don't really resonate with sexual energy in general. But this is what came up, right? So perhaps if you don't resonate with sexual energy, if you lean more asexual or anything like that, I would still consider this, but bring it into your own way, because again, being sapiosexual, being attracted to intelligence, or learning what gets you going and helps you feel connected to someone on an intimate level, can be something that, how do we say this, that, you know, we might have felt like we can't connect with because we don't feel this way, but there are other ways that we might connect with it that are very much aligned with our truth. So for those of you who are in that boat, you know, that would be my suggestion. But for those of you who do have, you know, connect with your sexual energy and you feel you're into it, cool, go, like, hey, like, explore your kinks, get a freaking toy, talk to your partner about using toys, bring something else in, do maybe more of like a ritual of sorts to invite that connection perhaps, or branch out a little bit, or play or role play or whatever, you know, like this is a great time for bringing a vulnerability, because essentially what kinks are, there's an element of kink that is vulnerability, you know, that is sharing something perhaps of a fantasy that you've never shared with anyone else, right? So bring that in, and you know, this all indicates that it's a healthy thing, and it's a thing that will be received, and then you can communicate with your partner as well what they might be into, and really like have this conversation, you know, open the door here for those experiences. Of course, the freaking Ruby had this reading. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed this. I do apologize. I know the setup is not great. I'm working on it still. Like I said, I've moved my office recently. It's turning out to be not much quieter, but I am able to control a little bit more, so that's nice. We're going to move over now to our more ASMR portion of this video together. I hope that you enjoy. I hope that some of these messages resonated with you, and I will see you very soon. All right?